My parents both grew up in fairly religious environments. My father grew up in a family of evangelical Baptists. My mother was raised in a Roman Catholic orphanage. Both of them pretty much had religion shoved hard down their throats. Both of them, of course, eventually rebelled. You can only imagine in an Irish family what it's like when an evangelical Baptist and a hardcore Roman Catholic get married. Well, of course, they were the only ones at their own wedding. But hearing the stories that both recounted about their experiences growing up in their environments, they always stressed the fact that what was always emphasized, almost to the exclusion of everything else, was how many people you can convert from their side to our side. It's almost as if you were sort of proving that your idea was better because you managed to do the impossible. You reached out into the other community and you pulled one of theirs over to your side, and you can now hold this new convert up as evidence that your idea is superior to the other guy's idea. Not only that, you rub his nose in it. That's very important, that you rub his nose in it. And of course, the results are predictable. Both communities couldn't stand the sight of each other, and anyone who was seen having anything to do with a member of the other community, well, they were shunned by their own. It's not like that anymore, not even in ultra-religious New Brunswick or Newfoundland. They generally live in peace now, and they've stopped all that foolishness, but or at least by and large they have. But you still see an awful lot of that kind of attitude these days, and in terms of every persuasion out there. You just go on YouTube and say convert, and you get how I converted to Islam from atheism, how I was a Christian and I became a Muslim, or I became an atheist, or how I became a Christian as a result of my previous atheism, or whatever. And the whole thing is silly. It's just a meaningless exercise trying to convert somebody to your point of view, because the underlying assumption is that you can prove how reality is by a show of hands. The old figure about Islam is the fastest growing religion out there may comfort some Muslims, who wonder where it's going. They sort of say, well, since the numbers are growing, I must be right, and my religion is probably the correct one. Meaningless, of course. You can't put Allah's existence to a vote. You can't say whether or not the Quran is the indisputable word of God just based on the number of people that follow it. The same thing with atheism. A lot of people say, oh yes, the growing number of people are abandoning faith and thinking for themselves, that kind of thing. Well, that doesn't really prove that God doesn't exist, just because a whole bunch of people are backsliding or falling away from faith or whatever. So I really wonder why it matters one way or another, whether or not somebody crosses the floor, as it were, from one side to the other. There's also the dark side of conversion. And the implicit idea behind conversion, or at least some conversions, are that religion or non-religion, or the various groups that make up religion or non-religion, are somehow inherently antagonistic to each other. It's very important that we get one of you to become one of us. And this can be seen as an assault upon the, shall we say, target community. I'm always and forever singing India's praises for its religious tolerance, its pluralism. In spite of what you see on the news, the riots and religious disturbances and things, it's a remarkably tolerant place, where each community, or each community within each community, follows its own religion, and what the other guy thinks is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even occur to someone that what I believe, if it's completely different from what the other guy believes, that one of us is right and one of us is wrong. That's the general rule. But there are exceptions to this picture of harmony, and we've seen them all on the news, and one of them is the fundamentalist Christian, although the Catholic Church is not off the hook on this, but the tendency now of Christian groups to proselytize among lower caste Hindus, taking advantage, or allegedly taking advantage, of economic problems to try and convert people. You cannot overstate how offensive this is to mainstream Hindu society. The thinking is, follow your own faith. We don't mind if you follow your own faith. Just don't go spreading it around. If somebody wants to join your religion, he'll simply seek it out and find it, and that's that. And there's a long history of this kind of thing in India. If you want to, as a Christian or a non-Hindu or whatever, you want to go into an ashram or something, you're perfectly welcome to get a guru and all this kind of thing. But they don't go out looking for you. There are some exceptions here and there to that, but by and large, no. And there's a good reason for that, of course, because it's just seen as extremely socially disruptive, to the point where you're rocking the foundation of society to its core. A lot of countries, particularly the Islamic world, although Russia now is passing laws like this in certain Latin American countries, you simply can't proselytize. It's illegal. And a lot of people sort of say, well, that's hypocrisy, because here you are spreading Islam throughout the rest of the world, and we can't go and spread our faith in your country. Well, it's probably a good thing that that this kind of thing is made illegal in Muslim countries, simply because the results of someone attempting to spread the word inside an Islamic country would almost certainly mean lots of violence. People would find it intolerable that someone would be doing this. It wouldn't have a very desirable result. Again, it's the same idea. It's an assault upon the other group. When I target you for conversion, or if you want to call it deconversion to atheism or whatever, or I want to talk you into something or out of something else, really, you're trying to play that zero-sum game that says, the more of us there are and the less of you there are, we're winning and you're on the defensive. Now, of course, if you're on the receiving end of that kind of thing, you're under attack. And of course, this writ large is in many ways what the so-called clash of civilizations is all about. Each side believes, seemingly honestly, that its core values are under assault, deliberate assault by the other. I don't believe that that's happening at all. But all those people out there trying to convert people from one point of view to another are not helping things at all. You're not calming anyone down whenever you make a video and put it on YouTube celebrating how another good young Christian person has found Islam, or how another fundamentalist Christian has found atheism or has abandoned the faith. That is something that is a personal thing, if you ask me. That's something that doesn't belong on YouTube. I'm not going to tell anyone not to do this, of course. I'm just expressing an opinion. I just think it's in very poor taste for any group to go out there and celebrate its victories over another group. Even if you don't realize that you're doing this, I guarantee you there are people out there that will perceive it as such. Thank you.